We're about to show you how we utilized the BRRRR strategy from start to finish to purchase 27 homes.
We created over $700,000 in equity and added $2.2 million to our rental portfolio with $0 out of our own pocket.
In 3 months. All right, let's dive into this deal a little bit. So Sam, how did we come across this deal?
Well, this was a wholesaler that I had bought a couple houses from, and we mentioned that, I mentioned to him that I'd like to buy houses from you and wholesale them, but I also keep and hold and buy and hold my own rentals. And he said that he had a package of 28 houses, is what it was at the time, a package of 28 houses that he had owned for 20 to 25 years that he was looking to offload all in one chunk. That kind of caught our attention because how many packages have you looked at, over the years like that?
Yeah, we've looked at hundreds of packages of single family houses, and most of them are crap.
Yeah, usually it's a hedge fund wanting to get rid of stuff at or above market value. So this deal, we analyzed it and looked at it, and we were thinking this almost is too good to be true. It was a little tight, but what he was asking, but we were able to negotiate it down a little bit. So once we got it negotiated down, we saw the numbers and everything made sense. We just had to walk the properties now, and I was kind of just thinking, we're going to get in here and all these properties are going to be, need 10, 20 grand to get rent ready. There's going to be a lot of deferred maintenance. The tenants are going to, not take care of it. So I still wasn't super hopeful even after we got our contract.
So let's talk about what exactly this deal or this property looks like. So this deal was 27 single family rental houses, pretty much in the same vicinity, but not all next to each other by any means. So probably all within 5 miles?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay, so they're all within 5 miles, and we were purchasing it under one contract as a package.
So what we did was we got all the information. We got where they were, what they were getting in rent, a copy of all the leases. We put those all on a spreadsheet, and then what we did before we got them, we didn't know the condition is. At first, we wanted to see if it made sense at all. So we actually plugged in the Zestimates and saw what we were going to negotiate it down to and what the Zestimates were, and make sure there's enough equity to be able to BRRRR out at the end. And then there was, so that was kind of the first step that we did before we really dug into trying to run 3 comps on every single house to make sure it's going to work. We did a lot of legwork, but we kind of tried to shorten that up a little bit by just throwing the Zestimate in there because it's usually somewhat accurate.
So we're not able to put 20% down on every piece of property that we buy. So once we saw how below market this property was being advertised to us at, we immediately thought of the BRRRR strategy. So we plugged in those estimate numbers and realized, hey, we're close here. Let's actually do some comp searching on each individual house and see if we can get it between 70 to 75% of what they're actually worth.
And if you're unfamiliar with the BRRRR strategy, click on this video up here. We break it down in a lot of detail. We also have videos on each step of it, so we can really get you caught back up just so you kind of make this make a little more sense to you. All right, so I'm kind of the sales guy, did the negotiation. Lucas is the number guy, so he's going to kind of run through, how he analyzed the deal and kind of break it down for you.
So we talked about buying the property at a discount already, but now I want to talk about cash flow. So for this particular package, what we thought we could buy it for, the numbers were about $125 per door per month cash flow. This is much lower than what we normally shoot for. We normally shoot for $200 a door per month, but it was such a value add opportunity because the rents were below market and it was pretty much a turnkey operation. So we were willing to take that risk to add this to our portfolio.
Yeah, it was 100% rented, and part of analyzing the deals is not just making sure that you're going to be able to refinance out, is making sure they cash flow. So when we ran the numbers, we didn't only run what we think they're worth and what we can get them for. We also, like Luke just alluded to, we also ran the cash flow numbers and make sure they cash flow. If we were able to get our money back, but we lost money every month, that it wasn't a deal. So kind of he alluded to a little bit, we had the minimum that we were probably willing to take, knowing we could raise rents as tenants moved out and as rents became up.
Yep. So we could probably get up to that $200 per door per month in a few years.
And we're getting there. We've owned it for a little over a year now. We're getting close.
Yep. So now that we've dove into the numbers and figured out that the numbers work, let's talk about some of our other due diligence that we do. I guess this is after we get the property under contract.
Yep, after under contract. Yep, after we analyze it, after we get under contract, before we close. Kind of due diligence. Yep.
So once we get the property under contract, some things we got to look at is the actual houses. So we lined up all the houses over a 2-day span and spent about, half hour or so in each house, just digging into the systems and taking notes and taking pictures to make sure they were houses that we wanted to buy. Part of the due diligence is lining up insurance for these properties after we purchase them. So Normally we have a go-to insurance person, but for this particular package, we thought we should shop around for great rates. The person or the company that we ended up going with had the best rates by far, but they made us pay the annual premium up front, which was about $12,000. A huge part of our due diligence process was keeping things going on the back end refinancing, because we were going to use the burst strategy for this package. So we initially wrote the contract to purchase the properties with a back end long-term refinancing contingency. So we were going through those steps and starting to get the appraisals lined up, which we'll get to into in a minute. But now I want to talk about the purchase financing. How did we come up with the money to purchase these properties?
So now all the numbers kind of made sense. We ran through those. We negotiated at a price we thought made sense. So how do you come up with $1.5 million, which is what the purchase price of this was? So I want to quickly just give you a quick rundown of how we got to this point. We didn't just go to somebody and ask for $1.5 million. We'd been acquiring properties, building relationships with banks, with hard money, with private money. We've been building our team over the last 4 or 5 years and just kind of got it set up to the point where if we needed to pull the trigger on something like this, we could. You're probably not going to be able to do something like this if this is your first, second, third, fourth, even probably 10th deal. But the fact that we had been growing our portfolio and building relationships and cultivating those relationships allowed us to be able to, when the time came, hey, will you loan me $1.5 million? We got the A-OK to do that through the hard money lender, which in itself, we had a great hard money lender we used, great rates, but we had over a $15,000 a month hard money note after we purchased, while we were carrying the notes for the 3 months until we refinanced out at the end. So each month we had to pay $15,000 just in hard money. How did we pay that $15,000?
So the good news is pretty much all the tenants were making their rent payments. So we barely covered our $15,000 a month hard money interest payment, plus some maintenance that came up and the property manager that we're using at the time. So we pretty much broke even while we had that hard money loan out. So we had a lot of motivation to get this refinance done on the back end as quick as possible.
That's like that for every BRRRR strategy house that you do. This one just a little extra kick in the butt because of that huge payment. But whether you're using hard money, private money, whatever money you're using, pretty guaranteed this is going to be more expensive than long-term bank financing. So the goal is to get it under contract, fix it up, or just season it over a few months while it has a tenant in it, or get a tenant in it, and get out of that short-term money, get to that long-term money as quick as possible, because that long-term money is much cheaper each month. All right, so now that we've analyzed it, we lined it up, funding it to purchase it, and at the back end, kind of what happened next.
So we purchased it and we're getting rent from these tenants at this point, and we let it season a little bit, and then we told our long-term banker that we've been talking to this whole time, hey, it's time to get the ball rolling on the refinancing. So the first main step in that refinancing process are the appraisals. So the way this appraisal was structured is the bank hired 5 different appraisal companies to do the appraisals on the 27 properties. So each appraisal company had to do 5 or 6 houses, where they only had to get inside one of the 5 or 6. So they were doing desktop appraisals for the other 4 to 5.
And each one of them, we met the appraiser at when they actually went to the property, and the ones that they didn't, we still gave the appraiser a breakdown of what we did to the property, because we had done it for 3 months. We put some money into it, some maintenance. We did, tell them what we did do it, and we also gave them good comps, realistic comps of what we think these are worth and why they're worth that. Not, we weren't shooting for pie in the sky numbers, $30,000 over what it's worth. We gave exact bedroom and bathroom matches, close or similar square footage, similar condition houses to show what we thought they were worth. An appraiser is going to do their own due diligence. They're on the line for giving that appraisal to the bank. But if you give them those numbers and prevent yourself professionally, they're going to at least look at it, consider it. They're probably not going to go out of their way to not use those if they make sense. They'll probably get their own, but it makes sense to at least give them an example of why you think it's worth that.
Right. Our job when we get these appraisals is to make the appraiser's job as easy as possible. Okay, the appraisals came back at a little over $2.2 million, and we purchased these properties for a little under $1.5 million. So we created $700,000 worth of equity with not a dollar out of our pocket, and we're sitting at 70% loan to value.
So that was a pretty stressful week, though, because we didn't have the money. If this thing appraised for $1.8 million, I don't know really what we would have done. We were pretty confident because we ran our numbers, but it was a little bit nerve-wracking week because all of this is, you know, it's a calculated risk, but it's a risk. So we were pretty nervous, but I think it ended up appraising for even more than we thought it was going to appraise for. So, just reassured that it was a good deal.
The terms we received on the new $1.5 million loan were 5% interest rate and 25 years amortization.
Which was a new debt payment every month of $9,000. So that's $6,000 less than our hard money note we had. So that's driving home the point of get out of that hard money as soon as you can, because that $6,000 cash flow, it wouldn't even a cash flow, it wouldn't have worked at that other rate. The fact that we knew we were getting this long-term lower rate at the end made it work.
Yep. The breakdown of the deal looks like this. We purchased 27 single-family rental houses for $1.5 million, which appraised for $2.2 million and created $700,000 of equity and about $3,300 of cash flow, which is $125 per door per month. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Comment below if you've done a package deal similar to this one.
Subscribe, hit the notification bell, and hit the like button. Ooh.
Damn!
Which one's better?